Gosh dang it, Drakengard! You did it again!
You know, there's games out there that leave a lasting impression, and they surprise you when you play them. And I would definitely say that Drakengard was one of those. Despite its simplistic and repetitive gameplay, its uninspired music, for the most part, of course, and one of the biggest problems with it, I think, was the massive amount of grinding, especially if you want to see each and every one of the endings. But what kept me coming back for more was the intriguing story, the bizarre characters, and kind of the premise of this world where they make pacts with these entities and sacrifice parts of their bodies or even their senses. Like, for example, Kime sacrificing his ability to talk in order to form this pact with a dragon. It's just so odd and intriguing, and I absolutely love that part about it. And that includes the story. But what really intrigued me the most was through the grapevine, I heard that this game was linked to Nier. And I actually played the Nier games first. And I was surprised to hear that they were actually tied together. And it turned out that one of the endings in Drakengard eventually led to the universe or storyline of Nier. Which leads us to ending E, the fifth and final ending of Drakengard. And this ending in particular gave me a ton of trouble. Specifically with the final boss. And that was because instead of your typical fly around in your dragon, destroy all the enemies, or destroy all the Imperial soldiers on foot with the main character Kime and his partners Ariosh, Leonard, and Sere, you instead flew around on your dragon and had to defeat the Queen of Grotesquerie, the statuesque and gigantic personification of all that was evil in the world, I guess. And we had to counteract her song of destruction by doing some sort of rhythm style game. And I was not prepared for that. It took many, many attempts, but I did finally beat it. And I did finally get to see ending E, this storied ending that would lead to the wonderful Nier games, I guess. But I'm not going to keep you in suspense. What I want to do is I'm going to show you my playthrough of beating this boss as well as ending E, but I do have a caveat. So instead of having the in-game audio and my commentary, things like that, what I want to do is overlay the song that should be playing if you time these attacks properly. And the reason I want to do that was because when I listened to the song and overlaid it on top of the gameplay, it really added a kind of ominous overtone, this kind of gloomy, this end of the world feel that I felt really hammered home what this ending was going for. Now, it may be a little surprising, but I hope the music will make it a little more entertaining, and then I'll give you kind of a little my thoughts of it when we get back.
This is Bravo 1. Unidentified target has been neutralized. Over and out.
Well, so I gotta ask, was that what you were expecting? Is that what we were playing this game for? Was that worth that gosh dang battle with that stupid queen of grotesquerie and her ridiculous rhythm game mechanics? I mean, on the surface, I would say absolutely not. The payoff was not there based on the challenge and kind of, I don't know, the oddity of the whole thing. Like, it didn't match up with anything else in the game, and then it just kind of ended in this weird kind of anticlimactic conclusion. But then what I found interesting was how this was tied to the Nier series, how this eventually became the beloved franchise known as Nier. And it turned out that when the Queen of Grotesquerie, Kaim, and his dragon Angelos died in the real world, their magic, or I guess their kind of being or something, their spirit, their magic, whatever you want to call it, kind of spread across the world and infected it. And what resulted was this kind of magical disease or sickness that infected the world's population, which basically led to the destruction of the human race as we know it and civilization. And then Nier ends up taking place thousands of years after that, with the main character now trying to care for his little girl who has been infected by this disease. And that's how these are tied together. I thought that was super fascinating, and the whole thing with the goddess's song, or the Queen of Grotesqueries, I should say, with that song, it just had this kind of very ominous, and I don't know how to explain it. Just when I knew the end result and the intention of this storyline, it made all the difference. It made that boss worth it. It made the ending, as bizarre and as unsatisfying as it was, it made that interesting. And that was because Yoko Taro, he went back and decided that was the one that he found the most interesting. So that was the one that he used as the backstory for the Nier franchise. And the most interesting thing about this ending, though, was that when Yoko Taro was coming up with this ending, he actually wanted to put it into Drakengard as a joke. Kind of like the UFO endings in the Silent Hill series. They were just supposed to be in there as a silly secret unlockable that players could strive for if they so desired. But when he presented this to the producers or the other people on the creative team, they absolutely despised it. They did not like it at all. And it was actually because of that that he decided he wanted to continue the franchise. He wanted to continue the canon, I'll say that, with that ending. And I just thought that was absolutely fascinating. But that's enough about Nier. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that ending and Drakengard in general. But that's it. That was Drakengard on the PlayStation 2. And now it's time for Drakengard 2, which, although it's not technically canon, since it takes place in an alternate timeline that doesn't eventually lead to Nier, I'm excited for it. So I hope you are too.